Hey, everybody. So, the eagle in medieval heraldry was considered the king of birds. So, I'm just saying. Our team consists of Matthew Leger-Small, Ashley Flores, Kimberly O'Connor, Pat Gagnon, Tracy Lee Boutier, who unfortunately isn't here, she couldn't make it today, and me, I'm Jeremy Winstead. We partnered with the Chicopee High School Band Boosters, and for those of you who don't know, a Band Boosters organization is a group of usually parents and a few alumni who support the high school band's activities. They raise money, they plan events, they handle travel, they buy uniforms, they just kind of fill in all the gaps that the high school itself can't provide. And so it's a little strange because we weren't really helping an organization, we were helping an organization who helps an organization, which was, it took us a minute to wrap our mind around that. But when we saw this project, we pretty much unanimously decided that's the one we wanted to do. There wasn't much discussion. And I think the reason for that was, number one, is that it was such a small organization. This was not a big nonprofit with a national headquarters and a budget and all this. This was a half a dozen parents in somebody's living room. And even though the impact that they have in the world is pretty small, it's still a genuine impact for the people who they touch. I think marching band was the only reason I got through high school, personally. So after working with the Band Boosters, meeting with them and mulling over some ideas, we came up with the following statements. Who's got the clicker? Our mission was to provide the Chicopee High School Band Boosters with ideas and tools to connect with their community in order to build support for the high school. And it was connecting with the community that was really the key that we saw. Because there was community support for the band, it just wasn't necessarily being realized. And our vision was that our groundwork would provide a foundation enabling and empowering future members of the band, boosters, to be the most effective in promoting the high school band and funding its activities and needs for years to come. And that's all I have to say.
So when we first started meeting with the boosters, they are a really energetic group of people, and we were a very energetic group of people as well. There were a lot of ideas floating around. After a couple meetings, we sort of narrowed down on what we wanted to do, and we started to conceive of our project in 3 concentric rings. The innermost ring being activities that would help to strengthen the boosters themselves as an organization. The second ring being activities that we could do that would help strengthen the immediate community, the immediate stakeholders, the band themselves, alumni, other parents. And then the third ring being the wider community, businesses that aren't necessarily connected to the band, etc. So that the first ring, we looked at, we held a strategic planning session for the boosters. They are at an exciting point where they want to grow, they want to embark on new endeavors. So we did a couple things, 2 specific exercises that are designed to help facilitate a conversation. The first one being an 8-word mission statement. So we asked the boosters to describe their mission using a verb, a target population, and an outcome, whether expressed or implied. And the point wasn't necessarily to create a new mission statement that would completely replace what they were working with, but it was to start a conversation about what they do. And specifically, we found that it was interesting that there was a sort of spirited conversation over what verb to use, whether it's something, whether they advance something or if they support something. So that was a useful conversation. And then second, we did a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis for the boosters so that they sort of knew where they are, what they're working with, and so that they can choose activities that will match their strengths and sort of work against their threats while taking advantages of their opportunities. Both of these, we had very limited time to work through these. We did them both in a little over an hour, and it was the general understanding that these are great exercises to return to periodically to help guide the group's mission.
For the second tier of our project, we really wanted to focus on building a foundation of support from the Boosters immediate community, which included parents, donors, and band alumni. We felt the Boosters would benefit from having a streamlined approach to request various types of support from these parties, whether it was asking a local business for a raffle donation or appealing to a band parent to volunteer at an event. Our deliverable took the form of a toolkit with templates and resources to improve their communications. For example, we created a template email they could use to onboard new band parents. We also put together a phone script and a how-to guide to boost their chances of securing donations from local businesses. The Boosters had identified alumni members in particular as an untapped resource, so we included several tools for engaging and retaining alumni involvement. Here are a few examples. We put together a template email welcoming band alumni members and suggesting ways that they could stay connected. We also put together a band alumni snapshot so that they could capture their memories and share those with other alumni members and current band members. This is a newsletter template we put together to help the alumni stay informed and also to help other supporters stay informed. For the third tier of our project, we really wanted to focus on the broader community for the Boosters. And one of the things that they had wanted in their proposal was to have a stronger presence within the community. They also said that they lacked a signature annual fundraising event. So what we first did was we suggested that they look at their current fundraising initiatives and really consider the ROI. You know, what are they getting out of it? What tools and resources do they have to put into it? And see which ones were worth continuing and which ones they should really replace. Then we put together a fundraising idea book with creative concepts for ideas that would either showcase the students' musical talents or celebrate the local community. One of our ideas was to hold a marchathon instead of a traditional walkathon. Another idea piggybacked on Chicopee's popular Kielbasa Festival, with the Boosters appealing to the taste of the local community by selling kielbasa to raise funds.
So challenges, what challenges would we face as a team? You know, we were certainly receiving support and tools from Dawn and Laura, but as we quickly got together to talk about how we were going to be able to support the Chicopee High School Band Boosters, we realized that getting together was a challenge. We are Leadership Pioneer Valley, and what that means is we are representing the Pioneer Valley, Hampden County, Hampshire County, and Franklin County, so that's anywhere from Longmeadow to Greenfield. And so we had to really work together to come up with what opportunities that we could come together. We utilized Basecamp to be able to sort of tackle some of the needs that we could communicate through this form of communication electronically. And in addition to that, we also utilized conference calls. Now, there were times that we did need to get together, and through SurveyMonkey, we were able to strategically work as a team and develop a time that best fit into all of our schedules. Because as you are all aware, all of our schedules include full-time jobs, family, and other commitment. As you saw on the previous slide, and everyone I think said, "Ah," because she is deserving of a wonderful we also had a baby eaglet born into our group. So, you know, there are more challenges and commitments that we all have in addition to Leadership Pioneer Valley. So in addition to working through the geographical challenges, we also learned that we all have different comfort levels working with technology. I, for one, Basecamp was something new to me, so that was something I needed to navigate my way through. In addition to that, some folks were new to conference calls, and Skype were different methods of communication that we were tossing around. But as a team, we all worked together to ensure that we mentored one another and coached one another if there were some folks were apprehensive or there were some bumps in the roads in the methods of communication that we were pursuing.
Hi, everyone. So what we learned in our leadership and group process, I thought it was interesting listening to all your presentations because it all rang true with us as well. I think we all kind of ran into the same things. But although the 6 of us were brought together because of how diverse we were from one another, I can't help but think 10 months later that we couldn't have gotten along better. We started at our very first meeting, and I think some of you mentioned this as well, as setting ground rules on how we wanted to be treated as people, our values, communication, trust, respect, how we wanted to be listened to, and that helped create such a solid foundation for us as we were moving forward. We maintained a collaborative approach, we valued our differences, and we listened to one another. We had open communication about the challenges we each faced, which helped us to build a trusting relationship. As Kimberly said, some of us were more comfortable with technology and some not, and we worked together so we could get through those. We also rotated the facilitator role in our meetings, which gave us all real-life leadership practice. Everyone had a chance, and everyone respected that role. They didn't sort of overstep their bounds and let the person be the facilitator. And we were invested in the mission, which we learned right off the bat at LPV, that when we were all invested in the mission, it would, we would rally around it with enthusiasm, and we did that with all of our projects. And we determined our tasks based on our interests and talents, which made the project enjoyable and extremely productive for us. And one of my favorite things about our group was our humor and our laughter. It was throughout the whole 10 months, and I enjoyed it. So lasting impressions. What we think we could have done better is sort of closing the loop with the Chicopee High School Band Boosters at the end of the project. We kind of ran out of time, and we had hoped for sort of a formal presentation of the work we had done for them and a final meeting, but that kind of got away from us. And we sort of thought that, I think it was Ashley on Base Camp that said that really related to me, is we're a highly productive team, and we wanted to do everything, and we wanted to actually hold the fundraising event and raise millions of dollars for them. You know, what's going to happen? And I think what we learned in leadership was that we shouldn't be doing that. We should be giving them the tools to do that themselves, and so that was a real lesson for me and I think our team. So we look forward to keeping in contact with them and getting solid feedback on what worked for them and what didn't, and seeing positive measurable impacts on our contributions.
So at the beginning of the project, we chose the community building capacity as the sort of obvious capacity that we were working on. But what we found, and as you can see how our activities were designed to increase that capacity, we really experienced the connection between the purpose capacity and the community building capacity. Everything that we did really focused on either zooming in on what the purpose of the organization was or what our purpose was in working with the organization, and we found both capacities increasing. So to express our, to sort of summarize our learning, we each have chosen one word that we'll share with you really briefly. So Tracy Lee's was gratitude. She really appreciated the experience of learning how to receive gratitude, which is you know, not always focused on when you talk about gratitude, but receiving it can be difficult, and she really enjoyed that. There we go. Oh.
My one word was truth. I learned that great leaders are not the same, and they shouldn't be. They're true to who they are, and they can be quiet introverts or outspoken and gregarious, but if they are true to who they intrinsically are as individuals while practicing the tenets of good leadership, that makes a great leader.
And my word was authenticity. Successful leaders are trustworthy and demonstrate a sense of purpose. Being genuine, honest, and true to oneself are characteristics of a great leader.
I chose life. Strong leaders must commit to developing themselves across all aspects of their lives. It's not a hat that can be worn in the workplace and then tossed aside when punching out for the day. It's a lifestyle requiring continuous effort to understanding and improving yourself as a whole person, day in and day out.
I chose complexity, and I enjoyed learning or approaching leadership as a deeply reflective practice instead of just an external practice. It was really eye-opening for me.
And my word was support. That leadership is not about telling others what to do or forcing them to do things, as tempting as that might be, but rather bringing people together and giving them the tools and information and allowing them to do more than they can do on their own. And so that's it for us. We would like to thank the Chicopee Band Boosters. We would like to definitely thank Laura and Dawn for making all of this possible. and all of our classmates for being just as crazy as we were.